Peru News Today. All you need to know about to Peru.
site. Its peculiarity lies in the fact that, as you descend its terraces, the temperature increases, a phenomenon that captured the attention of the gastronomic community. Experts suggest that the Incas used these nested terraces to acclimatize crops to different altitudes, adapting them to the demands of their vertical empire. Moray, which is believed to have been used as an agricultural laboratory, harbors a surprising effect. As you descend into the bowl, the temperature increases. Modern researchers believe that the Incas used the terraced rings to acclimatize crops to different altitudes for their highly vertical empire. Even in the United States, the Peruvian gastronomic scene is compared to two world powers, such as Paris and New York. The recognition attributed to Lima as a culinary epicenter is not fortuitous, but is based on the exceptional talent of the high-level chefs who converge in the Peruvian capital. According to the Washington Post, wherever you go, Peruvians of all races and classes love not only to eat, but also to talk about food, with endless appetizing options for all budgets. Most recipes can be found only in Peru. They are invariably made with fresh ingredients. The synergy between the passion for food and the exceptional culinary skill of Lima chefs catapulted the city to the top of international recognition. Lima is not only presented as a gastronomic destination, but as an epicenter where cultural diversity merges with culinary excellence, creating a unique experience that has captured the world's attention. Is only gastronomy uniting Peruvians? In the scenario of a society marked by corruption, political dysfunction, high mortality from COVID-19 and the setbacks of the national soccer team, cooking emerges as a constant source of collective pride and joy, according to the analysis of anthropologist Alexander Market Garden. In the expert's words, in a country where many have never visited Machu Picchu, the wonder of the modern world, food plays a different role. Any foreigner in Peru is immediately questioned about their appreciation for local gastronomy, and it is almost a rule not to respond with a no. Chefs, says Gerda Mercado, are considered cultural heroes, a figure that everyone aspires to be. The richness of Peruvian gastronomy, represented by dishes such as ají de gallina and rice with seafood, reveals a comforting dimension to the country's cuisine. These delicacies, which are influenced by various cultures, are part of an extensive list of desserts, a legacy of the French presence in the region. Peruvian culinary research. It had the walls plastered in white and yellow, due to the remains adhered to the stones that made up the architectural material. And on the ground floor, which has been preserved, there is evidence of food preparation and storage work, they detailed. What surprised archaeologists is that the Wari culture flourished in the Peruvian mountains, specifically in the Ayacucho region, thousands of kilometers from Nazca, located on the country's coast, the only Inca quarry on the Peruvian coast. In December, the discovery of the first stone factory from pre-Hispanic times on the Peruvian coast was reported. The Ministry of Culture was in charge of reporting that quarries were found where the Incas worked immense blocks of stone that were used to erect several of the walls of the settlements of the time, such as those of El Huarco, in Cerro Azul, and Vilcawasi, in San Luis, Cañete. Woman was mummified 500 years ago in Puente Piedra. The important archaeological discovery that was achieved in the Huacatambo Inga complex, Puente Piedra district, are 3 funerary bundles, separated into 2 cists, which contain 3 people wrapped with vessels, fabrics and necklaces. It is presumed that the mummies had belonged to a high-status family because they were buried within the Tambo Inga archaeological complex, which belonged to the Inca Empire in the last stretch of the pre-Hispanic era, and not in the cemeteries around the aforementioned administrative site. It is an administrative center that was the area of the Collis, that is, of the Colic Manor, but which later passed into the hands of the Incas. The Incas, by subjugating the Collis, established themselves in this administrative center that would have controlled the entire area of northern Lima. Archaeologist Roxana Gomez Torres, director of the Tambo Inga Research Project, informed Infobi Peru. New geoglyphs in Nazca. A total of 29 new geoglyphs were found by 20 students and an archaeologist from the National University San Luis Gonzaga of Ica, Unica, in the districts of El Ingenio and Shanguilo, located in the province of Nazca, Ica region, south of Lima, the capital of Peru. The research work lasted 4 months and was authorized by the Ministry of Culture, MINCUL. These figures were drawn on the slopes of the hills in the town center of San Francisco, in the El Ingenio district, and in the San Juan sector in Shanguilo, and represent figures of felines and anthropomorphic characters.
On Televisa, Nicola Porchela will premiere a new TV program in Mexico, I'm Going to Cry with Emotion. The former reality boy Nicola Porchela continues to achieve success outside of Peru and will now be the main image of a space on Mexican television. Nicola Porchela is having a good time at work. After his participation in the reality show The House of the Famous, he has not stopped making presentations, appearing on Televisa programs and more. Now, the Peruvian model surprised his legion of fans by sharing the first promotion of the new TV space of which he will be a part and which will mark a new milestone in his career after several years of having left Peru to seek new opportunities abroad. In this note we tell you more details. Will Nicola Porchela have a program on Televisa? The former member of Esto Es Guerra en Guerreros Mexico shared on his social networks the first preview of the program Que Bien Hora, a new proposal that will reach the screens of Mexican families. This space will not only have Nicola Porchela as presenter, since he will be accompanied by actors Omar Fierro and Michelle Vaith. I'm Going to Cry with Emotion, wrote the Peruvian character in the publication in which he broke the news to all his faithful followers. In the video you can see the participation of the finalist of The House of the Famous and announced that the content of the format will be diverse. It should be noted that he will now be the image of Canal Unicable, which belongs to Televisa. When and at what time does Nicola Porchela's program premiere? According to the social media publication, Que Bien Hora with Nicola Porchela, Omar Fierro and Michelle Vaith, will premiere on the Canal Unicable signal on Monday, February 12 from 7 p.m. Mexico's time. The program that has it all, music, contests, sketches and much more. Because now your TV already has happy hour, the hosts say in the promotional video. Will Nicola Porchela debut as an actor in Mexico? The model Nicola Porchela shared on his social networks a preview of one of his first scenes in the new Televisa novel, Love Has No Recipe. In this short clip he is seen together with the actress Coco Moxima, with whom he starred in a romantic moment. This new production by Juan Osorio would have planned to premiere in February of this year.
confronted Fernando Gonçalves, a stripper dancer who was romantically linked to Millet Figueroa, when she went to see him in a play. The popular Cabezon received the dancer on his TV set, who arrived as dance reinforcement for the contestant El Con Quiroga. At first, Marcelo did not want to pay attention to the athlete, but then he remembered that they had agreed to meet to face each other. However, it did not happen. Marcelo Tinelli reproached Fernando Gonçalves for not having gone to said meeting. However, the actor from the play Sex clarified that he did go, but the one who was conspicuous by his absence was someone else. I was there, you weren't there, Fernando. January 12th he was there. He didn't go because he went with his girlfriend to Spain. He acts the fool here, he acts the fool with Millet, but he is a fool, now he comes with braces, said the Argentine driver. Likewise, during his conversation, the Argentine driver tried to minimize the dancer at all times, even making fun of his appearance and commenting that he allowed himself to be manipulated by his girlfriend. On the other hand, to annoy Fernando, he began to flirt with his lover, who was on the set supporting the dancers. Tinelli was quite affectionate with the model, he asked her for her WhatsApp number in public and even said "my love." Until now, it is not known how Millet Figueroa will take the affectionate words that her boyfriend gave to the Argentine stripper's partner. What happened between Millet Figueroa and the sex dancer? As it is remembered, Fernando Gonçalves was related to Millet when the Peruvian actress went to see him in the play Sex in Buenos Aires. Martine Solway, former dance partner of Marcelo Tinelli's girlfriend, was the one who suggested that the Peruvian woman was attracted to her stripper friend. Millet really liked a friend of mine, who is Fernando, the tattooed one. The exhibitionist who has one of these thermoses, referring to his virile member, but for four. He is true flesh, he said on that occasion. However, days later, the muscular model spoke with the LAM program team and clarified that there was no interaction with the Peruvian woman, discrediting the rumors of a love affair between them. Millet Figueroa and Marcelo Tinelli are getting ready to travel to Peru. After the reality show Bailando 2023 ends, which is scheduled for Monday, January 29, and Marcelo Tinelli finishes recording the coexistence reality show Los Tinelli, the happy couple will prepare their suitcases to travel to Peru. The Argentine producer revealed that in the summer months, The name comes from a group of indigenous population that resided in this area and identified itself as Lima, since the chief was Talichusco and his people lived here, and since it is on the lands of this chief where the city will be founded, the name is taken from this group, he indicated. Teresa Vergara Ormino also stated that territories in pre-Hispanic times took a name according to their use and their climate. She stated that this can be found repeatedly in different areas of the country where similar characteristics are found. The names refer not so much to the territory specifically as we could say today the city of Lima, but actually what type of climate or production could be found in that territory. In that sense, they did not call this Lima territory, but rather their name as a population. Like the Caxamarca or the Cusco, they were the Lima. It is because of the population of this area that the city ended up having the name of the population that inhabited these territories that were ceded to the Spanish to the founding of the city, he explained. According to the historian Maria Rosvorovsky in the book Pachacamac y el Señor de los Milagros, A Millenary Trajectory, the small Curacasco of Lima belonged along with others, located in part of the valley of Lima and Lurin, to a macro-ethnic group called Ixma. This last indigenous lordship exercised supremacy over a number of small local chiefs, who were subject to the religious center of Pachacamac. Quechua word. The linguist Rodolfo Sarin Palomino in the article Etymological Note, the toponym of Lima maintains, based on written documentation and linguistic evidence, that the original form of the name of Lima was Limac, a Quechua word with an Aymara substratum, which came from Rimac. Rodolfo Sarin Palomino explains that this linguistic phenomenon is known as lambdacism, which differentiated the Quechua of the coast from that of the mountains. Later, the researcher states, the final consonant of Limac was suppressed on the lips of the Spanish, leaving it as Lima. What does Rimac mean? But who is Rimac referring to? Rodolfo Sarin Palomino argues that the one who spoke was the pre-Inca oracle called Rimac. In this way, the linguist also rejected the fanciful and popular version of stating that it was the river that spoke when the water rushed down its channel during the flood season. The chronicler of Calancha, who declares that he will call this city Lima and not Rimac, reports that he asked the chief governor of Magdalena and Surco for the name of the city, who laughed at being called that after the river, quotes Rodolfo Sarin Palomino in the book Voces del Ande, Essays on Andean Onomastics. The Waka Rimac of the Indians of Lima who called themselves Ixma consisted of a round stone, recorded by the extirpator of idolatries Cristobal de Albornoz in the 16th century. The Inca Garcilaso de la Vega also ventured that the Lima Valley was named after the aforementioned idol. He claimed that Rimac spoke and answered what he was asked and even compared him to the oracle of Apollo of Delphi and others. With this he went to the Rimac Valley where the famous talking idol was. He ordered to consult him about his journey, to fulfill what his great-grandfather capitulated with the Yuncas, that the Incas would have that idol in veneration. And having received his answer, which was many babblings and great flattery, he went on visiting the valleys up to Tumpis, he wrote. According to the book Divination and Oracles in the Ancient World by Marco Curatola Petraki and Mariusz S. Ziolkowski, in Tawantinsuyo there were famous oracular centers, the goal of pilgrimages at the Pan-Andean level, and among them was Rimac. According to Maria Rosvorovsky, the temple of the Lima deity was located near the city in what would be the Santa Ana Hospital. The Waka was destroyed by the ecclesiastical authorities because it was an indigenous shrine. Teresa Vergara Ormino also stated that territories in pre-Hispanic times took a name according to their use and their climate. She stated that this can be found repeatedly in different areas of the country where similar characteristics are found. A relationship between Rimac and Lima. Historian Pilar Ortiz de Zavalos, co-author with Gilda Cogorno of the book The Lima That Pizarro Found, agreed that the name Lima could come from Rimac, which had to do with the river and divinity. The ethnic group that lived in the valley was the Ixma. They spoke the Chinche language, as the linguist Torrero said, but that language disappeared and perhaps the Rimac River was pronounced differently. When the Spanish arrived in the valley, it had been 80 years conquered by the Incas, then Quechua had already prevailed and the Chinche language was spoken among the Ixma. So there may be a relationship between Rimac and Lima, which is the valley where the city of Lima was founded. Pilar Ortiz de Zavalos also indicates that the current territory of Lima did not have a name as such, and the most used name was the name of the sanctuary of the god Pachacamac. But the entire valley was not called Pachacamac. It was the territory of the Ixma. We know what the pre-Hispanic world was like through the chroniclers, above all, and from documents of the time. The Spaniards arrived with a different mentality and they fared better. Difficult at the beginning to understand how the Andean world was organized, which was another organization with other mental codes and another way of understanding the world, he said. Once the cult of the Huaca-Rimac was extirpated, Rodolfo Cerin Palomino argues, the Limac form continued to be used to refer to the entire former territory of the local lordship, whose original name of Icma only remains in the documents. Teresa Vergara Ormino also stated that territories in pre-Hispanic times took a name according to their use and their climate. She stated that this can be found repeatedly in different areas of the country where similar characteristics are found. A relationship between Rimac and Lima. Historian Pilar Ortiz de Zavalos, co-author with Gilda Cogorno of the book The Lima That Pizarro Found, agreed that the name Lima could come from Rimac, which had to do with the river and divinity. The ethnic group that lived in the valley was the Ixma. They spoke the Chinche language, as the linguist Torrero said, but that language disappeared and perhaps the Rimac River was pronounced differently. When the Spanish arrived in the valley, it had been 80 years conquered by the Incas, then Quechua had already prevailed and the Chinche language was spoken among the Ixma. So there may be a relationship between Rimac and Lima, which is the valley where the city of Lima was founded. Pilar Ortiz de Zavalos also indicates that the current territory of Lima did not have a name as such, and the most used name was the name of the sanctuary of the god Pachacamac. But the entire valley was not called Pachacamac. It was the territory of the Ixma. We know what the pre-Hispanic world was like through the chroniclers, above all, and from documents of the time. The Spaniards arrived with a different mentality and they fared better. Difficult at the beginning to understand how the Andean world was organized, which was another organization with other mental codes and another way of understanding the world, he said. Once the cult of the Huaca-Rimac was extirpated, Rodolfo Cerin Palomino argues, the Limac form continued to be used to refer to the entire former territory of the local lordship, whose original name of Icma only remains in the documents. Teresa Vergara Ormino also stated that territories in pre-Hispanic times took a name according to their use and their climate. She stated that this can be